Welcome to another edition of the Postgame show. I am happy to announce we brought a heavy hitter back. Vin, how we feeling? How is it? I know you're going
Good.
back to school.
Yes, sir. We're going back in a few days, but happy to be back here. Watch some guys ball out the other day.
Hell
It's
yeah.
great to be here.
Beautiful. And then we got Steven over there. Steven, I think this is your debut. Well, technically you made your debut last week, but how we doing over there?
Yeah, I'm doing well. Had a couple of great games yesterday.
Yep.
Yeah, excited to talk about
Hell yeah.
a great day in Legacy Leagues.
Yeah, no, great day, great night. Yeah, I mean, it was phenomenal. We actually had probably our best week yet this season, and we're gonna kick it off and get into a game that some might say an upset. Lux Gang took down Get Money, and if I'm not mistaken, that's Lux Gang's first win on the season. So shout out to Lux Gang for pulling it out. If you told me before the year Lux Gang would beat Get Money and lose to BTFO, I would not have expected that. But Lux Gang, huge shout out to them. They took down Get Money 67-61. And I mean, for Get Money, I got to say they were without their best player, probably Kyle Davis. He was huge. Definitely shows how important he is to this Get Money team. But they shot 7% from the 3-point line. That's all I'm going to say about it. If you shoot 7% from the 3-point line, I don't think you're going to win many games. Lux Gang, I'm going to say the same thing I said even when they lose. Just keep doing your thing. Lux Gang is not a bad team. They can play every team pretty close. That they have good players. They just need a little more depth. And I know I talked to their coach, Broadway. Shout out Broadway if he's listening. I know he wants to add a guy because they lost 3 guys. So I hope, Joey maybe can get that done and just get one guy in so they get a little bench depth. But, I mean, hey, I'm proud of Lux Gang. I mean, Steven, you were there courtside. You saw it. What'd you see in this one?
Yeah, it was a very uh, gritty game. There was a lot of back and forth. There was a lot of smack talk going on. Lux Gang, you can say that Get Money didn't have their best player, but Lux Game only had 4 players for the game. They all 4 of their guys played the entire game, and they played a great game. Trayvon Jones is just he's
Monster.
he's he's a monster. Yeah, he had 29 points. Hakeem Trueheart had 16. Rico Santiago, he got 15 with 11 rebounds. But all 4 of these players, they really they worked hard and they got a really gutsy win. On the other side, for Get Money, they still had a great game. I think Chad McCoy on the other side, he was probably the story of this game. He had 22 points. He shot 78% from the floor. At one point during the game, I don't know what happened, but ripped his jersey in half. It looked like Superman for pretty much half the game. But yeah, it was a good game top to bottom. It was a good fight for both teams. A very hard-nosed basketball game.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. These two teams, they're gonna fight. They're gonna grind it out, and like I couldn't agree more. He looked like Superman, and I think Lux Gang was the kryptonite out there because Hakeem Trueheart. This Lux Gang team is good. Like Steven said, Trayvon Jones, Hakeem Trueheart, Rico Santiago, and Javen. That's not a bad 4. And if they can get another depth guy in, like Hakeem Trueheart, shout out Eric Moore before the game, he was screaming best midi in the league. This Lux Game team is talented. They are good. You cannot sleep on them because they will catch you slipping very, very easily if you let them. Forget Money. I don't know. It's a rough year for them. A really hard year. DeMar Whitaker over 6 from 3. It's just they got to hit more threes. Making 1 3 in a game in a Legacy Leagues game is really hard to win if you're making 1 3, especially in this league where people are just jacking threes up. So Forget Money. They look to bounce back next week against NLMB, which is going to be a tough test. And Lux Gang, don't look now. They got more power next week. They could be on a 2-game winning streak going into NLMB in week 6. So, better days ahead for the boys and Get Money, but for Lux Gang, head up. But we've got the next game coming up, and, I'm excited about this one because we got another first win. More power coming out here for a first win. And I don't want to lie here, but I think this might be John Gold. So John Gold was on FD Ballers. And I'm going to check, but I don't think FD Ballers won a game in their first season. This might be a few of these guys' first ever Legacy Leagues victory ever in this league. So I just want to give more power, some love. They got the job done, and they looked like a more complete team in this one. it seems like they're finally starting to put a few pieces together, and no one's expecting, look, more power. I'm going to be real with y'all. No one's expecting you guys to win the championship. But if you can, pull out a few wins, maybe, get past, you don't want to be the 8 seed, maybe get to the 7-6 seed where you're not playing Run TMC. You can make, cause wreak a little havoc in the playoffs. But I'm going to go to Vin. Vin, what'd you see in this one? BTFO, more power.
Yeah, man, I think the biggest part about this game is just the complementary basketball that More Power did play. I mean, they had 6 blocks on the night inside the paint. It was a sight to behold, to say the least. I mean, defense does win championships. It's like you said, though, I don't expect More Power to win it all, but I can see them being one of these teams that just kind of is like a thorn in these other teams' side, like just kind of annoying them, forcing them to play all 4 quarters to work their way through. And it's like you said, I think it's more they have to carry that momentum going forward. For BTFO, I mean, they played a good game. It was a very close game indeed. I mean, it's not something to be ashamed of. It was 66-58, and throughout that entire game, it was back and forth. So for BTFO, you got to keep doing your thing. Focus on next week. Don't let this hang over you. Get on to next week. I mean, they played some very impressive basketball. But I will say overall, I think the biggest thing for them was they got frustrated at times. They got frustrated with potentially the calls. They got frustrated with each other. And that ended up to them taking some bad threes, ended up taking some bad passes, a lot of turnovers by this team. So I think for the biggest thing for them is if they're down by a few points, you got to keep a cool head because I just saw them. That cost them last night. It was a very close game, and yeah, 8 points is not really a blowout. But at the same time, I watched this team go back and forth for almost all 4 quarters, and then to lose by 8, that does seem like a lot if you were watching this game. So for BTFO, got to keep your composure, especially in the late parts of a competitive game. For More Power, keep doing what you're doing, man. I mean, your interior defense was insane. You guys really connected in that second half, making sure that your passes were crisp, making sure you're taking the smart passes and making the right reads. So keep going if you're More Power.
Yeah, no, more power to them. I got to shout out Jake McKenzie. Jake McKenzie is the guy on More Power who has the hops. And I know if you watch More Power, you know who he is. He's the guy. He looks just like one of my friends, James Silverman. By the way, shout out James Silverman. Every time I watch him play, I think it's him playing. So, I mean, no disrespect when I call you James Silverman if you hear it, Jake McKenzie, because he's going to be their all-star, I think. I think it's him or Nato Terra who's probably going to be the all-star for them. And they're very efficient. And I'm going to say something to BTFO now because More Power, they're figuring it out. They got Cody DiLeonardo. They got a chip on that team. They're a trend in the right direction. BTFO, you guys got to play more team basketball. I don't know how else to say this to you guys without being, part of my French a dick, but you guys got to pass the ball. You guys aren't good enough. You guys, very similar skill level to me. And I want to shout out Jameson Brothers. One of the interns, before the game, I'm not going to say who, came up to me and said that Jameson went to his high school and that he carried their varsity team. And you can tell there's talent on this BTFO team. But they're the classic free agent team who's not buying into the team, and they just want to get their stats. They just want to get their points. There's too many times I turn around and I see guys wide open at 3-point line, and they're just not passing. And they had 5 assists on the night, and I know More Power only had 7, but when you look at the best teams in this league, for instance, let's go to a Run TMC team, right? They just played NLMB. A big game, 16 assists on the night. NLMB, who lost, 11 assists on the night. I need more ball movement from this BTFO team. I mean, they're just not passing the ball. They're all out there for themselves. And if they want to play selfish, that's perfectly fine. But coming up, they got Street Ballers next week. Street Ballers got 4 guys. They might have Melquan Horton coming, who, if he does show up, you two are going to love him. Melquan is a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. He was all first team. This was pre-COVID. I hope Street Ballers can add him, but BTFO, they got winnable games coming up. They play More Power week 7. They could win those games, but they gotta move the ball around. So I'm begging y'all, just pass the ball. That's all I'm asking. You guys have talent. But speaking of having talent, and I'm excited to see what you two think about this one, we had NLMB versus Run TMC, and NLMB added Rocco Swenson, who is a problem in this league. Rocco was balling. But it wasn't enough. It was not enough because Joseph Carter and Run TMC was just too powerful. And I know Vin and Steven, you guys saw this. So I'll start with Vin and then go to Steven. Vin, you've seen both of these teams. When you interned, these teams were teams. So what'd you see in this one between NLMB and Run TMC?
I just want to talk about Rocco real quick because that dude is a beast in the paint. I mean, in Legacy, I have never seen someone as physical, but also playing a clean game. I have never seen someone who's just able to drive inside like that, makes the smart decisions and just comes down with rebound after rebound. I mean, it feels like no one can go up against him, and that's a dominating presence for NLMB. They are very fortunate to have him. But if we look at this game overall, it was Run TMC's game to lose because in the beginning they were just missing three after three after three. Like I've never seen them be that inconsistent at the 3 point line. So for them, that's why I think it was a much closer game than it should have been, just because they weren't moving the ball well. Run TMC wasn't taking great shots, but we've seen Run TMC wake up. This is no surprise. Run TMC finding that second half urge and just getting things going. That's their story. That's from what I've always seen from the summer to the winter. It's Run TMC just knows how to turn it on at the right moment, and they're a dangerous team when that happens. But for NLMB, I think the best thing about that was the fact that you had a really close game against the number one team, the team that most of us predicted to win the whole championship. They're undefeated right now. They're number one right now. The fact that you were that competitive against them, it's a big compliment to NLMB, but especially to Rocco. I mean, that guy, I can't say enough about him. Overall, Run TMC, they're running it back with pretty much the same team that they had over the summer. Their biggest addition is Quantin Jackson, and you know me, I'm a big fan of his the way he plays. I think he just plays really competitive basketball, very clean, just knows how to be a team player, but at the same time can say, "Hey, I can carry this team on my back." For Run TMC, we know what you got to do. You got to go beat Syndicate next week. They're undefeated too. You got to make your statement right there. For NLMB, keep going because you're going to face this team in the playoffs. I think that this is a team that we can see really go far, especially if they keep feeding Rocco the Rock. So just keep going.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. Steven, what'd you see in this one?
Week one in the post game at the post game podcast, Greg, you said to me NLMB was missing their big man, and you said, "Hey, they're missing their big man, and he has potential to be rookie of the year." And he has really, really shown it. Rocco is, like Vinny said, he's an absolute beast in the paint. Any sort of rebound that he gets in the paint, he's just dunking it. It's every single time. He just gets over every single defender that's in his way. On the other side, for TNC, as my AirPod falls out of my ear, um, uh, Joseph Carter had 36. Quan Jackson had 22. Quan Jackson and I had a really a cool exchange at the beginning of the game. He came over to me while I was doing the live stream, and he goes, "What's the spread on this game?" And I just gave him, I was like, I can give you guys like 12 and a half. And they ended up winning by like 15. So, but yeah, it was a good game top to bottom. It was really it was a close game, at halftime. But then you blink and Run TMC's up 15. So, but overall, just a good game.
Yeah, no, it was, like it was a playoff game. This was playoff atmosphere. This is what it's going to be like in the playoffs. And this year, especially in this league, since there's only 8 teams this season, what side of the bracket you're on is going to be huge. Because if I was a betting man, I'd bet Syndicate and TMC are the top 2 seeds. And if I was one of these teams, NLMB, Street Ballers, Get Money, Lux Gang, I'd want to be on the side of the Syndicate bracket. I know Syndicate's got Mike Davis. Syndicate's a good team, but I don't know if Syndicate's as good as Run TMC. I mean, I'm giving you the pick there. I'm obviously picking TMC next week. Sorry, Alex, but I haven't picked against Mike Davis in a long time, but I'm doing it, and that's going to be a big game because if you like right now the standings, we got Syndicate, TMC. Let's say I think TMC wins. So let's say the end of the year ends, TMC's the 1 seed, Syndicate's the 2 seed, right? NLMB and Street Ballers and Get Money, they're at that 3, 4, 5 spot. I think you'd much rather go through a side of the bracket where you're playing maybe more power or BTFO rather than your first round matchup is Get Money. Or your first round matchup might be Lux Gang, and that's not going to be a gimme. And then you run into the semis where you might be playing Run TMC or NLMB, and it's going to be a lot harder of a path. So that's why this game next week I think is going to be huge for TMC and Syndicate. Whoever can get that win, I mean, it's going to go a long way. I mean, especially for the Syndicate. If they beat TMC, don't look now, but they got more power the week after, then NLMB, and then Lux Gang. And if they can close out the season undefeated, I think they'll be trending in a good direction. But I mean, I couldn't agree with you boys both. This was a great game. This is a playoff game, and Joe Carter, I think, was the difference. He's phenomenal. And I couldn't agree more with what Vin says. I think Quan Jackson's the best addition this off season. Excuse me. It's just like Vin said. He plays his heart out. He's in control, takes smart shots, never really makes the wrong play, and he's an incredible basketball player. So I got nothing more to say about them. NLMB, keep your head up. Y'all will be back. You guys got get money next week. So that's a good test to kind of get you in the right direction. And before the next game, we got Syndicate Street Ballers. Speaking of TMC Syndicate, we're going to talk about the other team in that big matchup, and then we'll make our picks and get out of here. But Syndicate versus Street Ballers, and Syndicate kind of took it to them 88-65. Street Ballers was only with 4 guys. They didn't play horrible, but it just wasn't enough. Syndicate had way too much firepower. EJ Lynn was firing on all cylinders. Mikey Fuller, Jaquan Bromell, this Syndicate team was phenomenal. They didn't even Jason Hernandez and Randy weren't even there. I mean, Syndicate's deep. They're talented. They can really do it all out there. They got big guys. They got incredible guards. They literally got Mike, who's won 6 championships in this league, and he's wearing number 50, which is ridiculous. He's like a linebacker out there. But this team, look, sky's the limit for the Syndicate. There's really not much else I can say about this team, so we're just gonna kind of get into the next. I'll go into the TMC Syndicate preview, but before I do, I just want to shout out the Street Ballers. Regroup, maybe see if you can add a guy, and come back next week, Street, because Street Ballers, I know it was a rough game for y'all. Don't look now. Street Ballers are 2-2. They're tied with NLMB for that 3 seed right now. So they are right in the thick of things if they can kind of figure it out. So just keep your head up, Street Ballers, and do your thing. They got BTFO next week. That's a good get right. But I'm going to talk. I want to get your boys' thoughts. We'll go Vin, then Steven. We're going to make a TMC Syndicate pick. That'll be the game of the week next week. The 2 undefeated teams, the 2 top teams in the league. We got Mike Davis versus Devon Pratt. The teammates, the Yaga boys, Dave Armstrong. I don't know if you guys noticed Dave Armstrong on TMC. Anytime he sees Mike taking a shot, he screams across the court and starts booing him. This game, they are all friends. They grew up playing high school basketball together, a lot of these guys. Eric Langston will definitely go to this game. This will be the most fun legacy game without a doubt this season. I mean, like, if they play in the finals, it'll be more serious and it'll be a great game. But this game is just going to be fun. They want each other. Mike Davis came up to me 2 weeks ago and asked when they're playing TMC. I'm excited for this one, man. And my worry for the Syndicate is they just don't have the experience, and I just don't trust them enough. Like Vin said, I trust Quan Jackson. I trust Pratt. I trust Dave. I trust these guys. Reggie, I've seen it. I trust Mike. I've seen it with Mike through and through. I mean, I was an intern when Mike Davis won his 2nd ring. I'm running the league when he won his 6th. Like, he's done it. I know Mike's going to come and perform. That's not it. I need to see. I know Jaquan is going to do. He's going to get his, but can he take over in this game? Especially when Joe Carter is down there, and Joe Carter is. I mean, Joe Carter looks like Trayvon Jones is probably the most yoked guy in the league. Joe Carter is right there with him. This TMC team, I just think, is too deep. I don't know if Syndicate has enough firepower to really take them out. I also think Syndicate should take a playbook out of Run TMC's playbook. If you notice Run TMC in the bigger games, shout out guys like Dom Migliaro, Miles Raymond, who really take their playing time. They take a step back and they let the better guys get more minutes, and then they'll come in when they can. But it takes that, unselfishness to really win. And there's, guys like, Rosinski's a good example. Joey's a great example. Like Dom, guys that they know when it's their time to go in and when it's not. So if Syndicate can kind of do all that, I could see them winning this one. But I'm going to go Run TMC in this one. Vin, what are we thinking?
I think for the biggest thing is I'm speaking to Syndicate right now. What I said earlier about Run TMC getting off to a cold start, if they do that early, you got to keep them down. We have seen Syndicate, in a way, trend upwards as the seasons go on. Their first 2 games of the year were either within 3 points, a 1-point victory, and then every other game has been 15 plus. So going into this game, you need to have that dominant presence early. If Run TMC's not hitting their shots, if they're turning the ball over, making bad decisions, you've got to take advantage of that and be almost perfect on offense. Your defense has to be physical. With that being said, though, it's like you said, Greg, I don't think Syndicate has it. They're young, they're a new team. I mean, I watched this team last year get embarrassed game after game and go, winless the whole season. To be fair, a lot of new guys on Syndicate. I've seen it. I've seen the improvement. The core is still there. which I do love to see. It's not just, oh, they scrapped everybody and got these new guys. No, the core of Syndicate is still there. They're just improving the bench and the rotation. For Run TMC, you got to make sure you don't get off to a rough start. That doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but you can't be missing 5 threes in a row. You can't be, getting tired on defense. Make sure you're rotating those guys out. Just making sure you're feeding the playmakers, your Reggies, your Pratts, Carter, all those guys, Quan. Make sure that they're getting the ball early. Make sure you get out to a nice lead. With that being said, though, I see this game being within 15 points, but give me Run TMC. I don't see a situation where um, a healthy Run TMC doesn't win this game. And I will say, I know it's early, but I'm taking Run TMC to win the whole thing. I don't now that can beat them. I think every team can be competitive, but that's a different story.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's TMC is definitely a big favorite now. Steven, I mean, like Vin's seen these teams for a while. Like you said, he has the backstory, he saw Syndicate. What do you see? What did you see? And what do you think in this one, TMC Syndicate?
Yeah, so week one, I was working the Syndicate game, and one of the guys was telling me that they had gone winless the season prior, and I was like, I was really like, really, because this team was, I was like, there's got to be new players that they have, and so they were like, yeah, and so now they're, they're 4-0. However, if they if everybody's going to treat it like a playoff game, if people are going to treat it like a championship game, I think Run TMC has way too much experience, and I think I think it's going to be a very close game up until the midway through the third quarter, and then I think Run TMC is just going to, no pun intended, run away with it. So I think like Vinny said, I think it still will be within 15 points, but I think Run TMC is just way too is not. I guess I'm sorry. The Syndicate is not up to the levels as Run TMC, so I think they just have too much power for the
Yeah.
Syndicate.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think that's going to be big. And Vin's right. They didn't win a game last year. And it's one of those things where, like, last year I remember doing the postgame show, and I'm looking at it now. Like, they lost week one to Run TMC by 6. They lost week two by about 19. They lost week three by 11. They lost week four by 10. Like, they were in these games. They didn't have enough to close it out. And now, like Vin said, they brought the talent in. They had the talent now to close it out. And, I agree. I don't know if they have enough, and I'm going to give them a little piece of advice. Box out. This Run TMC team, I've seen Run TMC lose, a bunch of times in this league. I've seen them obviously win a championship and win big playoff games. When they win the big playoff games and when they lose specifically, the teams they've lost to Flint in the past, and they've lost to some Yaga teams in the past. What do those teams have? They had guys like Mike Bizzuto, Matt Fink, Matt Sir, Dave Armstrong, who else? Greg Daniels, that's a throwback name. But you know what? Want to know what these guys do? They play their heart out and they box out. Vin said it best. You cannot let this Run TMC team take 4 threes in a row because shout out Pratt, Yaga, he's not missing his second three. You give this team a second chance, they are going to hit these shots. And I could not agree with Vin more. Syndicate needs to keep their foot on their neck and just push this game. They need to go at this team. They need to not that gas pedal, keep it pressed down, and just go, Syndicate, and do your best. And hey, even if you lose this game, it's kind of similar to the NLMB thing we were talking, with the Run TMC. NLMB was in it. They were close. They played them hard. That's how the Syndicate should look at this game. Go for the dub, but focus on learning from this game, growing from this game, because look, I would not be shocked if this is our finals match. We got a finals rematch a few weeks from now. So that's going to be a great game. I really do. I really think it will be, but I just agree with the boys. I think Run TMC has too much. But with that being said, Syndicate, we gave you the bulletin board material. Now, I know Alex has said this in the group chat. I know they're not going to be dapping any of us up before the game next week. But, hey, we're excited for that. We got some good games as well. We got Get Money and LMB, which is a big one. Lux Game, More Power. Can More Power get another win? And then we got Street Ballers BTFO, which, Street Ballers 2-2, BTFO 1-3. This is the bulk of the schedule where these playoff seedings will really start to show. So I'm excited for next week. We're about halfway through the season. For me, Greg, for Vin, for Steven, it has been an absolute pleasure. Good luck to everyone who, has playoff games going. If you're a Dodgers fan, you can eat me. And that's all I got to say, man. Shout out to Legacy Leagues family. Shout out to everyone. Hope y'all having a great new year.